transplants were being done in very modest numbers between the time the first transplant was done here in 1966 and almost to 1985, when it was decided, shall we say, that we were going to do heart transplants here. And I think a gentleman named Hatcher had something to do with that.
Well, when I found out that I needed a kidney transplant, I was here in Georgia visiting, and I got very sick, and I knew something wasn't right. And after my blood pressure being checked, and matter of fact, my blood pressure that day was 258 over 170, and something wasn't right. I was told that I needed a kidney transplant, but I was a little miffed because I'm a former football player, and those things just doesn't happen. And going through that whole process, it changed who I was. Finding out that I had to start dialysis. I was a little familiar with dialysis because my mother had a kidney transplant back in 1977. So I knew a little bit about dialysis, but I didn't know a whole lot. But finding out that I couldn't get a transplant the next day, it changed me as a person, it changed my life, and I realized I had to do things differently than what I was doing prior to me becoming ill. So there started my journey into dialysis, receiving my transplant, which was the best day of my life. October 25th, 1994, I got that magical call that it was my turn, that I was going to receive my transplant. And upon receiving my transplant, I just made a vow to myself that no matter what else happened to me, that I was going to do everything in my power to make sure that others didn't go through what I was going through.
Well, I think efficiency and proficiency go hand in hand, and we had expert teams of people to do what we needed to do, and Dr. Welch's first influence was to have a member of a team for each subspecial that we needed, and we all made rounds together. Sometimes rounds started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and sometimes they started at 7 o'clock in the evening. But we all stayed, and everyone took their part. So we had a dietitian, pharmacologist, nephrologist, and working as a team, which places Georgia Transplant in the picture because that's part of the team.
After receiving the transplant, it gave me a new lease on life. It taught me the value of life, and it allowed me to do some things that I had not done. Prior to receiving the transplant, it gave me the opportunity to reconnect with the community. It gave me the opportunity to really sit down and evaluate how important life was, and I truly enjoy life today. I enjoyed it before the transplant, but it's a little different now because I have a second chance. And I know I didn't get a lot of things right in my first life, but in this life, I think I'm doing a pretty good job. So those are the things that I truly enjoy, and that's what has made me the person I am today and what allows me to do what I do today, and that's helping others. And that's what transplantation does, and that's what donation does.
I'll tell you the story that I tell residents while operating, because they always suggested to me that I was fairly calm in the operating room, so calm as to play music and occasionally do a pirouette if I needed to. So I said, well, if you ever had to operate with a flak jacket and a helmet on and mortars and rockets going off all around, the rest is pretty easy.
And I have just been, since that day, just been really dedicated to helping others, not only who need a transplant, but just people about health in general, because health is very important. And I truly believe that if we're not healthy, we can't enjoy life. And that's what life is all about. We work every day, we work with our children, we do a lot of things, but we have to take better care of ourselves, so that's what I wanted to do. So with Georgia Transplant Foundation, what a marvelous organization. I was introduced to Georgia Transplant Foundation by my social worker way back when, and unfortunately she's no longer with us, but Pat Dunkerley, she introduced me to Georgia Transplant Foundation, wanted me to come to a meeting, and said she wanted me to come to spring training. And when I got there, then she wanted me to speak. And then I spoke, and then she said, well, Bobby, I think you'd be a great addition to our organization. So I've been with Georgia Transplant Foundation since then. I've been in different capacity. I was on the board, and it's allowed me to just reach out and give back. And that's what we all should do. We all should be able to give back, and that's what I do. That's what I pride my life on. That's what I enjoy doing, and that's what my life has been since I've had my transplant.